Okay, so who has bubonic plague on their 2024 disaster bingo card? Michael Snyder reports. This has been quite a decade for global pestilences. The first one to hit was COVID, and that created a wave of panic that literally paralyzed the entire globe. The next one to hit was the bird flu. More than 100 million birds are dead, and now mammals all over the planet are getting infected with this. There's a lot of concern that humans could be next, and we will be watching further developments very closely. 2 years ago, Mpox exploded on the scene and it rapidly circulated around the world. Now a much deadlier new version has emerged in Africa, and global health authorities are quite alarmed about this. On top of everything else, this year we're dealing with the worst outbreak of a dengue fever that we have ever witnessed. Millions have already been infected, and there have even been hundreds of cases here in the United States. With everything else that has been going on, I did not expect to be talking about bubonic plague. In the 14th century, bubonic plague killed somewhere between 30 to 50% of the population in some parts of Europe. Overall, it's been estimated that approximately 50 million people were wiped out. So this is a disease that we definitely don't want to see make a major comeback. Unfortunately, it keeps popping up in various parts of the western United States. On Monday, health officials in Colorado announced that there is a confirmed case of bubonic plague in Pueblo County. A person in Pueblo, Colorado, about 100 miles south of Denver, has been infected with bubonic plague, local health officials said on Monday. Last week, state and local officials identified the case based on preliminary test results. Tristan Garcia, spokesperson for the Pueblo Department of Public Health and Environment, said in an email on Tuesday morning that it was bubonic plague. Earlier announcements had been more general, stating it was plague. The infection was initially reported on Friday. The department said the person was hospitalized for bubonic plague, but their condition has improved. Because plague is endemic locally, it's hard to pinpoint the source of infection, Garcia said. Hopefully, they identify that case in time. And back in March, one man that was not diagnosed soon enough ended up losing his life. A New Mexico man has died after contracting bubonic plague, the state health department said in a news release last Friday. It's the first human case of plague in New Mexico since 2021, and the first since 2020 of a victim, according to the New Mexico Department of Health. The man's name was not released to the media, but the Department of Health says the man resided in Lincoln County and that NMDOH staff is conducting outreach to area residents. A month before that, there was a confirmed case in Oregon, and authorities are telling us that the victim was likely infected by their pet cat in that case. Can you imagine your pet infecting you with such deadly things? Now, health officials announced this week that a resident of Duchette County, rural part of Oregon, was diagnosed with plague, marking the state's first human case in more than 8 years. The person was likely infected by their pet cat, who had developed symptoms, according to Duchette County Health Services. One of the reasons why this disease is so difficult to eliminate is because it spreads among animals, and cats and dogs that get infected can carry it home to their owners. Usually people get the plague after being bitten by a rodent flea carrying Yersinia pestis, the bacterium that causes the disease, or by handling an infected animal, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Cats, which become sick themselves, can directly infect humans, while hardier dogs may simply carry the fleas back to their owners. People can also become sick by inhaling droplets from the cough of an infected person or animal. Hopefully, the bubonic plague will not become a major problem anytime soon, because if it does, that would not be good at all. According to the WHO, bubonic plague has very high death rate. The WHO estimates that 30% to 60% of people die of bubonic plague. Pneumonic plague is fatal when left untreated. There is no vaccine for plague in the US, the CDC said. People who develop symptoms of plague should immediately see a health provider. Personally, I think that dengue fever, also known as bone break fever, is much more of a threat. This is a disease that causes horrifying pain and lots of people in this country have already been infected this year. For example, the CDC has announced that there have been 41 confirmed cases in New Jersey in 2024. The CDC has issued an urgent dengue fever warning after 41 travelers in New Jersey were sickened with the mosquito-transmitted virus. Cases of dengue are currently at an all-time high across North, Central, and South America, the CDC said. The 41 New Jersey residents were infected while traveling as of July 2nd, the CDC says. And in Florida, there have already been more than 200 confirmed cases so far this year. Meanwhile, Florida has seen 210 total cases of dengue fever this year, 7 of which are reported to be locally transmitted. Most of those cases were reported in Miami-Dade County. Of course, those who live closer to the equator are in much greater danger. We're seeing numbers in Central and South America that we've never seen before. In fact, so far in 2024, there have been almost 10 million cases in our half of the world. In the first half of 2024, more than 9.7 million cases have been reported across North, Central, and South America. According to the CDC, U.S. travelers accounted for more than 750 of these cases. There is no magic pill that you can take to make dengue fever go away. If you get a really bad case, you're going to go through a tremendous amount of pain. So if you live in a high risk area, please be careful. And he said, before I end this article, I wanted to give an update on another disease that often causes excruciating pain. So far this year, a deadly new strain of Mpox was apparently spreads much more easily among humans, has already caused more than 400 deaths in Africa, and according to Africa's Center for Disease Control and Prevention data, about 8,479 cases, 401 victims to it, have been recorded since January 2024. Out of these, 97% of the cases were reported in DRC, now considered a hotspot. And meanwhile, the other strain of Mpox that caused so much chaos in 2022 continues to circulate in countries all over the planet. It has never gone away. In fact, none of the major diseases that have erupted in recent years have gone away. They are all still with us. We live in a time when our world is being ravaged by pestilences, but the truth is that what we have experienced so far is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm entirely convinced that global pestilences will be one of the major themes of the next few years. We are far more vulnerable than most people realize, and the next great pandemic could literally strike at any moment. And this is by Michael Snyder on End of the American Dream. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. This is by Michael Snyder. About the author, Michael Snyder's extremely controversial new book entitled Chaos is available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 7 other books that are available on Amazon, including End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and The Most Important News. And he always freely and happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.